Hello, I'm Ivan, and today I'm going to look at protective cages for the Atomos V. So recently I bought myself an Atomos V. I haven't even set the thing up yet. Lovely bit of kit, I'm sure. Quite expensive. But I thought to myself, you know what? If this has an accident when I'm filming outside, it's going to break. So I decided to buy a selection of cages, and I thought it might be a good idea to do a bit of a video comparing the different models of cage, just to see the pros and cons of each. Now, I'm going to start out with the cheapest, which was the Andycine. The Andycine cage there. I've seen this on Amazon. I think it was about $79.99 at the time of making this video. My thoughts on this one. Right, for a start, the pros are it's very lightweight. It is very lightweight, and it is good to try and keep the weight down so as to keep a nice center of gravity on your camera rig. The Atomos V itself is quite a chunky piece of kit. It's not the lightest thing in the world. Plus, then obviously by the time you put an SSD and a battery on there, it all starts to add up. This cage is quite nice. I like it. I like the finish on it. I like the price of it, especially seeing as it comes with a hood. And I also like, the other pro is that I really like the HDMI cable clamp. It's been quite well thought out, the way that it adjusts down, nips down onto your cable. I would say those are the pro points of this cage. The cons of this cage are, first of all, it's not a one-piece cage. It's 4 separate pieces of aluminium, which I don't know if you can see there, but they're fastened together with a really small screw on each corner. To me, if this was mounted on the Atomos, and if you had that accident and it landed on a corner, my fear would be that that might just break. The whole thing might, it might just pull the small screws out, strip them out. They're only screwed into aluminium. It might strip the screws out, and you might end up with, on impact, it might strip the screws, fold in, and you could possibly still end up with damage to your Atomos, which, to be honest with you, is one of the main reasons for getting a protective cage. Obviously, the other reason is for mounting extra equipment on, which I have to say, this hasn't got a lot in the way of sort of like handy, flexible mounting points. It's got a couple. It's got a couple of extras, but I don't know about that one. The hood that comes with that is okay quality, nothing special. I do like how the hood on this one, compared to the others, the hood on this one does fit on really well, because they've made these slots that the Velcro tie through, whereas the other two cages, the Velcro goes all the way around the body of the cage. This one sits a little bit more neatly. But yeah, that's the pros and cons of that. I did read a report about this, someone complaining that when you mount the HDMI cable clamp, that the screws pressed all the way through here and were pressing into the frame of the actual Atomos. I tried this myself last night, and that actually wasn't the case. The screws don't reach that far. So maybe if that's been a previous design problem and they've rectified that now, I don't know. But that's the Andycine. I would probably give that value for money. Great. I would say 8 out of 10. Overall quality and functionality, I would say maybe give that a 6 out of 10. So in a similar price bracket, moving on, we've got the Nitze or the Knights, however it's pronounced. This one seems, the cage feels a little bit more sturdy. It is still, it's not a single piece of aluminium. It's 4 pieces of aluminium again. However, this one is fastened on each corner with 2 screws. That will give you a little bit more rigidity in the case of an accident, but at the same time it is still 4 separate pieces of aluminium. The other pros of this, it's quite well designed. It is quite nice. I'm trying to work out actually which way around this sits, to be honest. Yeah. So it is quite nice. It does sit nicely on the Atomos, so it's actually fitting up against the fascia there. It does have a few more mount points compared to the Andycine, so that's handy. And it's got a cold shoe on the top. The HDMI cable clamp on this, again, really good. That screws on the side here. That screw on there. And also, the other thing I really like about this one, and this is a bit of a functional improvement on the other two, to be honest with you, is the hood. The hood sits well on the cage. If you look at where the Velcro is compared to the cage, if you can see that, it sits well, but also the hood doesn't have any bottom mounting flaps like the other two do. This hood will literally sit like that against the Atomos. That gives you better access to the touchscreen. The hood itself's nice, nothing special, but yeah, it is nice. Got this nice velvety feel inside, and it's matte, so it's yeah, that's quite good. That is quite good. I would say value for money. Again, I would probably give that an 8. Functionality, probably a 7. Probably a 7 or an 8. But I do like that hood. I do prefer the hood on this one. I think the only thing that really lets us down is the fact that it's not a one-piece frame, not one-piece cage. If this had been a one-piece cage, I think this would have been the preferred one. So then, obviously, you know, you couldn't do a review about cages without having the Smallrig. Everything that Smallrig makes is pretty much really well built. There's not much I can actually say about this. It's reasonably light. It is one solid piece of aluminium. Loads and loads of mounting points. Like, you've got NATO rails top and bottom. You've got all the 1/4 and 3/8 top and bottom. Yeah, it's, you know, the build quality is pretty damn good. One thing that I don't like about the Smallrig one is that it only actually fastens to the Atomos at the top and at the side, through those two small holes there that screw into the side of the Atomos. There's no way to fasten it at the bottom, purely because that centre bottom hole is a threaded 3/8. It's not a recessed hole like the top one. Obviously that's so you can centralise the mount on your monitor, but to me I would have liked that clamped in the bottom as well. I may even possibly, no I can't, I was thinking there I might even possibly drill that out, but no. Yeah, this has the added benefit of these two swivel tabs at the side here, and what that's for, that is for the full size Master Caddy 2, which slides into the back of the Atomos. On the Atomos, the Master Caddy 2 sticks out a little way, so these tabs basically stop it from sliding out any further. It's just basically to help stop accidents. The hood that comes with this does seem like a nicer quality hood than the other two. However, what I don't like is that when the hood is mounted on, it fastens in this sort of configuration. Nope, hang on. I want to keep this video short, so I'm not going to go through the process of mounting all this stuff. So as you can see, you've got the two little mount tabs on the bottom. That, to me, that kind of makes it a little bit more difficult for the touchscreen stuff. And bear in mind that on the Atomos, most of your icons run along the bottom of the screen. So I would say that's a bit of a con with that one. I'm also not 100% convinced about the HDMI cable clamp even on this. I think I prefer the other design on the other two. This one to me, again, it does seem like it kinda, hang on a second, I'll get this in. It's a bit twisty. Right, so you just kind of nip it up by hand onto the HDMI plug and tighten this. And I think I much prefer the likes of these, whereby it does actually nip down with the two knurled screws onto the HDMI plugs. This also does both the in and the out, whereas this, well, you can put a second one on. You can put a second one on here, but the one you get in the kit is just for the input cable. So I find that a little bit of a con with this. I mean, the Smallrig's got lots and lots of pros, but there is a few cons. I don't think there's one perfect cage out of all three of these. The Smallrig, I bought the kit, and in the kit you do also get, let's have a look. You do also get the silicone cover. It's nice quality. It is a nice quality silicone cover. But what I will say is You can only have one or the other. You can't have this on and the cage. It physically doesn't fit. And because you have to kind of install the cage, I don't think many people are going to be taking the cage on and off constantly and swapping to the silicone cover. I think that you would end up threading your screws over a very short period of time. So I don't really see the point of including this. Maybe if this had been a silicone cover that was a bit thinner and fit inside the cage, then great. The other thing you get in the kit is a screen protector, and that's quite a nice quality screen protector as well. And you get all the little cleaning bits with it. However, I mean, you can buy a separate third-party screen protector for about 8 or 10 quid on Amazon. That kit was the most expensive of it all. I think that one cost me about 125 quid. So there is quite a difference between the Smallrig, the Nitze and the Andycine. However, I think for my own use, I will probably be sticking with the Smallrig, just purely for the protection. My main purpose for getting one of these was to protect my Atomos V. So my thoughts are, if this gets dropped on a corner, it's a lot more likely to survive with a one-piece bit of aluminium wrapped around it. Yeah, I think that's about it really. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching, and see you again.